What's up, guys? Justina Victoria here. I am a psychosexual expert for men. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the relationship to masturbation, how it can be something that allows you to fill your cup, and how to change your relationship from the one that you have now to one that's like really empowering if you don't already have that. So what does an unhealed relationship with masturbation look like? An unhealed relationship with masturbation um, looks like using self-pleasure as a way to sort of cope with overwhelming stress, to check out, to sort of gain like quick satisfaction and like disconnect from things outside of yourself, or like situations outside of yourself, to get relief almost, I would say. Um, so a relationship that isn't really thriving or successful with masturbation would just be one that's used as a means to an end, sort of. And what types of feelings does one experience when they have an unhealed relationship with masturbation? So some guys will feel guilt and shame, and that comes from a lot of places, like especially religion, parents, society, media. You know, the dick and balls is always portrayed as something gross or dirty or something funny, something to be made fun of. We always have this, sort of like funny gimmick where like the mom will walk in on a son when he's masturbating, like first learning about his body. He's like, oh, disgusting. Um, and some other like feelings in relationships with masturbation would be like one where you sort of just like use your dick to take out your frustrations. And there's no real connection to the dick, no real connection to your own pleasure, and no real like filling up of the cup. So, like a rejuvenation that happens um, during and after self pleasure. So a lot of guys come to me with a lot of shame and guilt and disconnect from the body, feeling like masturbation is sort of a numbed out experience, or feeling like masturbation is kind of boring or dull, or, like there's only two ways to masturbate, which is like to fantasize about something in your head or to go online and look at porn. And so where does this relationship with masturbation likely originate? It's conditioning, really. I mean, and it's the lack of being taught how to connect with your own body and how to have a relationship to pleasure and to receiving and to feeling good in your body. It's really, we have a weird culture where like being negative and suffering and sacrificing, all of those things are sort of praised, where like pleasure is this sort of not dirty, but like it's like a sinning thing. It's sort of like a one of the deadly sins of like lust and and greed, and like you shouldn't like have too much pleasure in your life. Like I really think a lot of it comes from religion. Like even if you didn't grow up religious, it's so steeped into our culture that it's like you really shouldn't be too happy, and you shouldn't be too abundant, and you shouldn't have too much pleasure in life. And when you do, like you should feel bad about it. You should feel guilty and shameful, and like, or you should have a really weird relation, like kind of like a perverted relationship to pleasure, where it's like you can enjoy it while it's happening, but then like once you come back to your baseline, you should be like, what just happened? So and like it also gets passed down from our parents. Like they were highly conditioned around sex and sexuality and connecting to their own bodies and each other and that kind of thing. So I would say it's mostly religion, because the pagans like loved to get it on. They like absolutely loved to get it on. And And then once Christianity came in, they were like, nope, God hates sex, God hates pleasure, and you're going to hell if you feel good in your body. Heaven is for feeling good, and earth is for, suffering and sacrificing. So I really think a lot of it just comes straight from religion. Even if you didn't grow up religious, it's just part of our culture. So how do you heal? How do you begin to heal this relationship? This is something that I love to work with men. And I actually have a free online masturbation experience called Porn, Pleasure, and Power. It's free. Actually, you can get the link below if you want to pop in, and it's about 4 tracks long. I usually like to create like albums that you can listen to. I did do it live originally with some guys, so you'd be able to like hear their journey as they go through each track of the Porn, Pleasure, and Power. And it's really just a transformation in how they self pleasure. So you begin to heal by expanding your your content, your material that you masturbate to, number one. And number two, you understand the point of masturbation, understand the point of self pleasuring. So, self pleasuring is meant to be something that regulates your nervous system, it's meant to be something that fills your cup. And if you're doing it to sort of kind of mitigate a stress response, and then you go right back into the stress response, and or masturbation actually causes a stress response, which it does for many men. Lots of guys will do the only thing they know how to do, which is jerk off to porn, and then they have a lot of conditioning around porn. So then after they orgasm, they feel like a piece of shit because they watched porn and they don't feel good about it and they feel weird about it, or they just, it's not aligned with their values, or they're getting into like more kinky stuff because they are, firing off too much dopamine every single day, so they need like more and more and more weird stuff to like get them off. And so the way that you can heal and begin to shift to having a self-pleasuring practice that actually allows you to thrive is to start adding in more material that is outside of the realm of just simply fantasizing about sex and watching sex on a screen. And you can start by just actually connecting to your own pleasure. One of my favorite things to do is a really simple practice that I call just like pleasure tracking. So as you're touching your body, or as you're stroking your own dick, you can literally just connect to the sensations that you are experiencing, the pleasurable sensations, and tracking them in your mind, like literally following along with every single little subtle good feeling that you feel, really fully connecting to it, really fully experiencing it. It's kind of like the difference between being like super hungry and like you grab an apple and you just like wolf the apple down. You're not really tasting the apple, you're just trying to like get it into your stomach. Versus like eating the apple really slowly and like chewing slowly and like really tasting the juice of the apple, and the bitter tones and the sweet tones, and just like really taking it in, taking like a moment or stretching that moment out, and tracking the taste. So, a lot of guys will masturbate in sort of that fast food kind of way, like I just need to hurry up and get off. And whatever can get me there the fastest is what I want to do. But that doesn't really, regulate the nervous system. It doesn't create any elevated emotions. And those are the things that fill your cup. So if you're masturbating in a way that doesn't support elevated emotion during and after, and what I mean by elevated emotions are feelings like connection, joy, love, intimacy, happiness, bliss, ecstasy, on and on, relaxation, all of those elevated emotions. If you're not experiencing those during or after self-pleasuring, then you are not regulating your nervous system, which is the whole point. So when healed, what does masturbation look and feel like? It is, wow, it is it just keeps getting better and better. It's like a feeling of your whole body lighting up. It's a feeling of ecstasy. It's an expansion. That'd probably be the best way that I could describe this experience. If you've never embodied it, if you've never experienced it, it's an expansion. Whereas like when I used to masturbate before I, deconditioned my sexuality and worked on my self-pleasuring practices, I always felt kind of gross. Like I felt like I was always doing something I wasn't really supposed to do. Nobody should know about it. I don't really even want to know about it. My body felt gross. I felt kind of shameful, and afterwards just wanted to forget about it. And that was like a shrinking. It didn't expand me. It shrunk me down. And now self-pleasuring is this sort of electric, it's this life-giving feeling. It's this, the only way to describe it is really like expansion. It fills your cup. It regulates your nervous system. It empowers you. It makes you feel more whole. It makes you feel more masculine. It makes you feel more confident, like you have a bit of a pep in your step, like you just have a little extra something to carry with you. And I feel the other way is just sort of an emptying, a release, if you will, but you're like releasing vital energy, and you're shrinking. Whereas this way, it's like instead of a release of energy, it's like you're gaining energy. It just fills you up, and it kind of aligns you and kind of helps you to stand taller. What solutions does this healing elicit in your sexuality and other areas of your life? So you can actually, when you get good at this, when you kind of heal your relationship to self-pleasuring, you can use self-pleasure to do lots of things, believe it or not. You can use it to overcome fears, or create new associations of pleasure to things that you are typically, like, your body tries to move away from. So very simply, your nervous system moves away from associations of pain and towards associations of pleasure. And those associations are created through either conditioning or through your own meaning making. And, let's say you're really afraid of public speaking, for example. You have an association to standing in front of a group of people as painful, as fearful, as unsafe. The body tries to move you away from that, right? So one of the things you can do to overcome that is you can actually use masturbation to create a new pleasurable association to to public speaking. So you can actually masturbate to the visualization of you standing in front of a group of people and giving a really successful speech. You could have a speech written out that you have to give, and you could actually read the speech and literally be stroking your dick. And what will happen is that, because neurons that fire together wire together, if you're firing neurons of pleasure, an experience of pleasure in the body, while reciting certain things or eating certain things or looking at certain things, then your body is going to start wiring those two experiences together. So this is one thing I always say to people, like, if you have a block, like if there's something that you're procrastinating on, then you can actually just masturbate while doing it. And if you do it enough, the body will just start to enjoy doing that thing because it will associate it with pleasure, and you won't actually even have to touch yourself anymore. Your body would just be like, I like that thing. Let's do that thing. It's pleasurable. What can a healthy, healed relationship with masturbation do for your relationships or your romantic relationships? Oh gosh, it's really good. Because the more intimate you are with your own body, the slower and the more rich of an experience you can create in your own pleasure. the more vibrant and rich and electric and alive an experience you can create with another human being. And not only that, but it really allows you to kind of slow down. The association to sex always stays pleasurable and good and strong inside of you. So when you are with a partner, your body's already associating to pleasure as something that is something that you take your time with, something that you really expand with, something that you really my husband's like sneezing in the background. It's something that you it's like art. It's like an art form. That's really what I see sex as. Sex is an art form. It's something that is different every single time. It's a different experience every time that you have it. It doesn't matter if you have it with the same partner or different partners. It's always different. And it's always like a blank canvas, and you never know what is going to be created through that beautiful experience. You don't know what's going to happen when you pick up that paintbrush. And the more that you can kind of sit in your own body and rewire anything that doesn't belong, right? Because things like guilt and shame um, do not belong in our sexuality. Our sexuality, our natural, pure essence of our sexuality is life force. It's joy, it's ecstasy, and it's something that is supposed to be life giving. That's where we come from. Like your life, you wouldn't exist if it were not for sexual energy. Nobody would. And so it's life-giving. And so the more that you can uproot sort of these emotions that do not belong there, that have been conditioned into you around masturbation and sex, the more pleasurable, beautiful, deep, expansive your sex life will become. So you can get my Porn, Pleasure, and Power album below, at the link below. It's totally free. And you just follow along there. It's about like 4 different tracks. Each one kind of builds on the next to create like a really beautiful masturbatory experience to really take your self-pleasuring to the next level. So until next time.